going to start with a walkthrough of accessing and things that may have tripped people up. So I'm gonna share my screen here, and you all should be able, hopefully, to see just the Agency of Ag's overall website now. And to access these portals, if you just go to the Vermont Agency of Ag, you can Google search them or go to agriculture.vermont.gov. And if you go to just the updated Vermont COVID Agriculture Assistance Program link, there's information down here with all sorts of FAQs and all the different grants that the Agency of Ag has going on. And the one that pertains to you all would be the Dairy Assistance Application. And one thing that's confused people is the difference between registering and then logging in. In registering for the program, you only have to do that one time. Even if you're a farmstead operation where you have a farm and you're also a processor, so you had two unique IDs, you just have to register once, and then you will log into the program to actually enter those two applications. But the registration page looks like this. And it has a bunch of different statements to read through, and just one is just educating on what the money's for and what you should be applying for and things like that. And once you click yes that you understand the above, there's just some basic questions of where you producing milk or processing. And again, for those that are seasonal, you still click yes to this. To keep continuing forward. And then from there, you would type in your unique ID number into this field, and it would then auto-populate your name. And I am actually going to use, let me check real quick. I've already created this application, and what I'm showing you all is our testing site. So we have a testing site where we are actively making sure that the program is working, and any updates or changes that are going on, we're doing this here. So what I'm showing you is what you'll see on your end of things, but this isn't the actual active portal. And it liked my password. Heck yeah. And we're just going to use this number for a processor. And you should show up if you enter your ID correctly. It is sensitive to having the dash number and all of those things. But from there, you're just filling in your registration, your name, title, and your email. And one thing that has tripped up some people is that you will see your email will be put in whatever email you enter into this, and automatically your username adds .vt grants. So just be cautious of that your email will not actually be the login name you'll use, but it'll be your email plus .vt grants. So once you enter all of this information and hit register, it has you in the database. And so I'm going to take you into the actual database, and if you just registered and that's all that you managed to do that day and that was enough technology for the day, if you come back to our agency's webpage, as I'm scrolling through now, all you have to do is go to the login page, and you would enter in your username with the .vt grants, whatever passwords you set up. And then it offers you to actually start entering. So this is the live site. I'm not going to dabble in that at all because I don't want to break anything. I'm going to go back to my safe testing site. So let me go back to my dashboard. So from here, and let me move this back to dashboard. All right. So when you log into the actual page that I showed off of the Agency of Ag page, you're just going to click on New Application, and there's a bunch of options in here because the same company that is providing this portal for all of these different CARES Act grants, it's the same company, so there's a bunch of different things listed here. But if you are applying as a processor, as the actual plant that's making turning milk into a value-added product, this is the form that you would want to select. If you're applying as a farmer on the farm side of producing the milk, you would want the dairy producer application program. So if you hit select, it creates, it just opens up a new window, slowly but surely. There we go. And then you would enter in your unique ID number again, and then you would go through, if your W-9, if it was submitted to the agency and preloaded, this would preload, and you would hit the yes button, making sure the information is correct. If you haven't already submitted your W-9, you would just manually type in this information, and then you would upload your W-9. So I'm going to go back to one of the applications that I am using to test right now. And this one already had information preloaded. So I'm going to start the actual application. So this is what you'll see once you get through the W-9 information. And if anybody has questions pop up as I'm going through this, just please let me know, and I'm happy to stop. But there's just some basic eligibility questions, and depending on how you answer means whether you can proceed or not. So if you do have an enforcement violation, which there's only a handful of people that do, you wouldn't be able to apply for this, but shouldn't be an issue for any of our processors. And I'm just going to click through these real quick. And yes, I've had harm. And again, if you were still like on March 1, if you weren't processing, but you're an active milk handler and you were sent your milk handler number basically to apply, you would click yes here. And you're just going to go through and mark which months you have losses. And so the application is fairly basic in that whichever one of these bars that you select for a month, and it can be all or none, you should only be selecting months that have occurred. You have to upload files. It only allows one document per upload, so it's really important to get your comparison files together, whether it's a document that you are swearing to just in a Word document or Excel, and this is what my income statement or profit and loss statements are for 2019 compared to 2020. Or if you have a QuickBooks export that you can use, and you would need to get those files together to then upload here. And again, you can have multiple documents within one file, but you can't attach multiple files. One thing that we've seen with people putting in information, especially if it's from QuickBooks, is to please make sure that the title that it auto populates says the correct month. We've been tripped up a little bit as reviewers with that, and I'm sure that for you all, if it's QuickBooks or your Excel documents or whatever you use for your bookkeeping, you all could probably recite the information in there in your sleep. For us as reviewers, it is completely foreign to us, and so if you have a lot of different cells that are broken out, like farmers market sales, retail, or these other things, and you really want to just lump sum what your net sales were in 19 for that month compared to 2020. It's been really helpful for reviewers if you just put an asterisk or you highlight it in yellow or what you're actually pulling your numbers from. But just utilizing the system, it's very basic. Hit the upload file, and let's just pick a document. It will take Word, it'll take a PDF, it'll take just a basic template file or Excel, whatever you have. It's been tested rigorously by a lot of us at the agency, and it'll accept any document. And these are just dummy documents I'm inputting. If it will not allow you to go forward if you just mark this and don't upload, it will fuss at you. So you do have to designate those. And again, you can do multiple months, what have you with that. And then also for our processors, so this is the section for your profit and loss and overall change in sales. And then this is where you can document what your pre and post-COVID sales were. So you're just entering dollar amounts And it's been all across the board what we have seen coming in. We've seen some people that have actually put in zeros, especially if all of their sales were to a farmer's market, for instance, and the market closed. For that case, documentation could be one, your profit and loss, and then in another part of this application, I'll show you where you could put some more details in. So same song and dance with these. You have to upload some sort of document, and again, the file type does not matter. It only allows for one document. And these documents should show for the reviewers and for whoever audits us one day down the road. Anything with money going out, there's going to be audits for the state, and we just have to be able to show that these dollar amounts, whatever this was, it shows in this document the changes in it, and here as well. What we also would highly encourage is that please elaborate as much as you can in these comments, because again, a lot of this information is foreign to us in the unique ways that your business is structured and where your avenues of sales or where things were lost are. So the more details, the better, just for us and being able to understand where things happen. And again, you can add as many months as has occurred. Please do not add in September, for instance, because September has not completed, unless there's a situation where a restaurant has completely closed business and you can show on your profit and loss that this business closed, and you will not have sales for the rest of the year. I will also add that if you do not cap out on your first application run through, there is the ability to submit an additional application later on in the year. So that's one thing we've heard from a lot of people, is that this time frame hasn't completed, and I want to be able to capitalize on this. You could go ahead and submit what you've lost to date, and then come in and then add other information later on. The program only allows for you to do this twice. So just make sure that the two are good. But if you submit an application and there's an issue or an error, the back and forth between the reviewer and you and getting the original application correct with losses, that doesn't count as a strike against you. It's two kind of from scratch submittals. So here, if I was filling this out for my counterpart, Greg Lockwood, if Greg had a plant and I was doing this for Greg because he didn't want to deal with technology, I could go in and I could add Greg's information here so that it would be in there as a contact and get notification emails and whatnot. So. All right. And so this section is where a lot of unique information can be entered. The previous section really had to deal with just strictly profit and losses. What it didn't include could be all sorts of other equipment or that you had to purchase to pivot. There could be you had to purchase PPE to protect you and your staff, or additional cleaning and sanitizing supplies. We typecasted and put in some standard things that we thought could potentially be across the board, but we also left numerous lines for people to put in information that is a unique situation for them. So there's a lot of things that can be included in other economic harm. It could be that you needed to modernize your website or completely change how you were shipping product. You were doing everything retail and now you were doing sales online, or if you had to hire a firm to help you with those, if you added a new product and you had to buy labels to help move more product because of COVID. Those are things with proper documentation that could be funded through this program. We've had people that had to purchase new equipment, or they had to expand where they were aging their cheeses because they're running out of room. Like, as long as you can document that these purchases was because of COVID-19 and in response to it as your business pivoted and tried to adjust, those things would be eligible. Some other interesting things, we've seen a bit more of this mainly on the farm side, but it would still be eligible for processors, would be if um, you had to hire an additional worker because you lost your child care support because of COVID and daycare centers closing. And so a spouse or a partner had to take care of children, and you had to hire an additional employee because of COVID and there was no daycare. That's something that you could put in here. And what we really just encourage is that whatever dollar amount you put in here, you're going to have to, again, upload a documentation file. And just please make sure, one, that either the document shows the financial information and the math of how you arrived to something. If you had to hire, a new employee, that you're breaking down the actual hours that they're working, that they're replacing of the other person. And this text box here is really, really important for just really putting in key details. Putting in something of just see attachment doesn't help the reviewers if we have questions, but you could put in information on the math or how you calculated it, or just the reason for this expense. So um, and we've had people that put in a significant long paragraph of things, and it's been super helpful for the reviewers just to see where this is coming from. Um, and then if you had applied for funding that may represent a duplicative payment for any reason, you can put that dollar amount in here. The system automatically calculates the numbers that have been put in, and then also any of the duplicative payments to take out. And when you get through this whole section, you can hit the next button. And one thing to warn about, the system does not save your information on the page until you complete it and hit that next button. So when you see the wheel spinning, it has saved that page. And so if you had to log out or it timed out on you when you were pulling other documents, you may lose some of the information on that page and have to re-enter. So there's a review page to go through everything that you have. It's really important to make sure that these attachments are showing that you put in. If for some reason you don't see these attachments, it may have not uploaded correctly. If you do it again and it's still not working, then there may be a bug or an issue going on with the program, and you can reach out to our COVID helpline and we can get it figured out. So the very last things, I'm just going through and it looks like it took everything and looks okay. I'm going to hit the next button, and then the very last page, you do have to pick an option here. This was put in statute by the legislature if you're interested in technical assistance, and if you're not, you can hit the button. And so far we've gotten some very sweet responses if people weren't interested in anything, and nothing too mean, so that's very nice of people. Then the very last bit is just these statements, which these are what I would consider legally binding statements of your swearing that this information is correct, and all of that fun stuff. All the legalese that makes me happy. I'm not an attorney and just prefer talking to cows or other critters. And the very last part, you will put your name in there and you will hit submit. And once you hit submit, you can still log back into this portal, and you can actually see the status of your application. So when you hit submit, is what actually goes through our program, and we'll let the reviewers see it. If we have to mark it incomplete because something needs to be edited or we just need more explanation, you would get an email notification, but you would also be able to see that it was marked incomplete. If we mark it recommend for approval and then it gets secondary review to be approved, all of that would show up here, and also when it's actually awarded and payment goes out. So that would be on this dashboard with your login. So that is kind of a quick run through of what the application actually looks like.